Yeah, welcome to Anita Vita Rise. All right, everybody, welcome. It's Anita Vita Rise. Anita Vita Rise. Yeah, Anita Vita Rise. Yeah, Anita Vita Rise. Yeah, who can make it better? Anita Vita Rise. In all types of weather, Anita Vita Rise. Get you back together, Anita Vita Rise. Go send her a letter, Anita Vita Rise. Anita Vita Rise. Anita Vita Rise, yeah. Anita Vita Rise, yeah, yeah. Anita Vita Rise.
Welcome to Rise with Anita Vita. I am your host, Anita Vita, Master Medical Qigong teacher and healer. I'm so grateful and thankful that you're here. As you know, every week I host an amazing guest who will be sharing her story so that they can be a ripple effect in the world. Today, I have my lovely sister, Jen Fontanilla. She is a money expert, financial expert, and money coach to help women out of worrying and having just fears around their money. So without further ado, please welcome my dear friend, Jen Fontanilla, to the show, everybody. Hi, Jen.
Hi. Oh my gosh. Thank you for having me. It's so wonderful to be here with you on your Anita Vita show.
Yes, sis. Thank you for being here and for saying yes. And, you know, I'm so grateful and thankful for the work that you do, especially around the topic of money. So, you know, tell us a little bit about your journey around how you even became Jen Money Coach. I love that handle, by the way. It's just so badass. It's so badass. And you know, and
I'll tell you how I got that one.
And what inspired you, and what, you know, what was the passion behind wanting to drive and share the financial education to those who most need it, especially now?
Yes, absolutely. So it started over 16 years ago. I know I started when I was 2. And not many people know this, but I originally was I still do it. I'm a graphic designer. And I was sitting at my desk one day in the office, and I remember thinking, you know, this was like in my early 20s. And I thought, my gosh, you know, I'm making really great money. I used to do a lot of work for the entertainment industry. I had like really huge accounts and whatnot. And I just remember thinking, like, I don't even know what I'm supposed to be doing with this money. Like, you think about it, we go to school, but we don't learn about it. Mm-hmm. And maybe at the most you open a checking account, savings account, and that's for the most part how it just ends, right? And then what happened was, I was thinking to myself, there's got to be more to it than this. Like, what about investing? What about these terms that you hear, stocks, bonds, mutual funds, and you see like the things, and even all the things in the environment, you realize, I don't know anything. And that kind of stuff does not sit well with me. And before it was even an acronym, I was experiencing FOMO, because it wasn't called FOMO back then, right? It was just like, I'm missing out. And so, long story short, what happened was, a friend of mine was like looking at stocks, and she was writing these letters. I'm like, what are you doing? She's like, I'm buying stocks. And that was part of like, okay, I can't handle this anymore. I don't like that. I don't know. And so I decided to go into the financial field. I ended up like going full force. I get licensed, you know, so I'm also, you know, an insurance agent, whatnot. I became a financial advisor. I did that for over a decade. And then it got to a point where I was like realizing a lot of times what happens is people want to jump to the sexy, hot, cool thing. Hey, I want to invest. Hey, I want to, you know, I want to start investing. And this is what usually is the case. Most people don't do the budgeting. Nowadays, mindset is such a common term, you know, especially in our coaching world, right? Yeah. But when I was starting, that is not a word that was thrown around a lot. I mean, the self-development books, they've always been there, but it wasn't something that was mainstream the way it is today. So this is, again, like 16 years ago when I first got into this, right? And so Now it just seems so commonplace, like entrepreneurialism and entrepreneurship and all that stuff. It's just like everywhere now. But back then it was kind of like, I mean, there was no social media back then. And so in the more recent years, I started realizing, you know, people have got to go back to basics. There is a reason why, and I love what you said before we went live, was that, you know, there is the logistics, right? The spreadsheets, the numbers, all this terminology and all that stuff. And yes, it's important. Yeah, we need it. Yeah, we need to learn how to do all that and be aware. But when it comes to the mindset stuff and the emotions, and especially when it comes to women and the feminine energy that's behind the way that we have a relationship with money, none of that on top of everything else is not taught. And so I realized that, okay, yes, there's numbers. Yes, that's important. But it really comes down to looking at the subconscious patterns. What is our relationship with money? How do we react? What are the patterns that have been passed down to us from our parents, you know, their parents, the different things that we see, because all of that affects the way we make financial decisions today. And so that's how I ended up deciding to go, you know what? So I abandoned the financial licensed world in terms of being an advisor, because the work that I really wanted to do was more on the coaching side, which is it's actually very different. So when being a coach now is very different, but at least I know that I had that technical background that I did for over a decade, because there's the technical terms and the different ways that, you know, we typically see in the finance world, but then also bringing to that component the idea of understanding our relationship with money and how do we approach it, because that really has a huge effect. And I'll just say this, it's like, think about the people that you might hear in conversation, I just can't save. I don't know why I can't do this. And no matter how many spreadsheet files I give you, no matter how many checklists, if you have not addressed the subconscious patterns, if you have not taken the time to understand your money story, that is a possible reason why you keep hitting this roadblock of why you aren't changing your behavior when it comes to the financial decisions that you make.
I love that you are marrying both your skill as a financial advisor and all of the nuances that come with that, and recognizing what's very masculine as well as the feminine side, which not a lot of people know about. And, you know, not feminine, and it doesn't have to be, you know, just women not knowing to understand this. Like men they have feminine energy too. Yes. So now that you're weaving both of those into your practice, I think that's so amazing. And that it's no wonder that women really will gravitate towards the work that you do. And I'll speak from experience. I know that feeling when a bill comes, you open it up and you're like, right? Like, what if you just learn to take a breath first, you know?
Yeah.
Right? And just learn to, you know, take a look, and then it's okay. And what I'm recognizing is, wow, how much power do we give to money? How much power do we give to what we serve? And it's starting to feel that way. And with better questions, right? Through the work that we do as coaches, asking better questions will yield better answers. Yes. And then at the end of the day, when you come to that decision and commitment, it's not even as bad as it is, right? So,
no.
And I want to take it back, because you said, now we're working on the money. I'm going to just use these terms if you've heard of it. Yeah. Money wounds from our parents, parents, and our whole lineage as well. And what we subconsciously, right, just pick up, not knowing what are the habits that we pick up along the way. And then we think, therefore, like, hey, something is wrong with me. Why can't I just get this one thing? Why can't I just get this one thing on my spreadsheet and then give it to my accountant or give it to Jen? And, you know, within like 2 weeks, you don't do the homework. And then you're like, there's something underlying. What was the trauma surrounding that? And how can we work towards that so your behavior will now mirror something better, and that you were empowered rather than like this victim of not wanting to open your mail or, you know, doing these behaviors of, I don't want to open my mail. I'm scared to look at my bank account, or that ding from your account where it doesn't reach the particular, like it's going, what is it when you set a limit and then it's going to the limit? Okay.
It's funny because we're the ones that put that, right?
That's why. And then it causes even more.
You put it there.
Exactly. You can't blame nobody. And so that's huge, to take accountability for your actions. And that's one of them. And I'm so grateful that you shared the real behind the scenes of like, this is really why you're not going to move forward on what you say you're going to do. Because, hey, let's do the shouter work on money. What is that? Like, oh, okay. So what have you seen is the most common patterns that women go through when it comes to their finances?
That is such a great question. I would say some of the biggest things that we hang on to are past financial mistakes. And sometimes they're not even directly financially related. Sometimes it's like, for example, even in my own personal situation from over a decade ago, I went through a divorce. And there was a lot of financial shame around that because, for example, my name was on everything. I lost everything. I lost all my investment properties. I lost my assets. I lost everything. Everything was in my name. And, for many, many years, even after the divorce, it was just like, gosh, how can I be so stupid? I can't believe I did that. And a lot of it, life happens to all of us, right? Whether it's a divorce, whether it was a bad breakup with a boyfriend, whether you made that poor decision about taking that job and then you realize it didn't work out. Or sometimes, I have another friend that moved to another state, realized it didn't work out, and now miserable and had to figure out and move to another place. I mean, we go through life. There's always going to be some kind of traumatic or even minor thing that affects us. And sometimes we hang on to that. And even that guilt and shame, which is like extremely low vibrational frequency, is what affects us from showing up and showing out in this world and showing, hey, this is how I can live fully and be happy and have joy and all this other stuff. But when we remain in that space and we have held on to unforgiveness because of those past mistakes, we don't even realize how that makes such an impact on how we move forward, because there's so much guilt and shame. And so that is part of it, where we don't realize that as we're doing that to ourselves, it's making such a big impact in a negative way on our money and the decisions that we make, because we feel guilty. And another thing too is just having that fear, like you said, like, I don't want to look at the alerts, I don't want to open the mail. I mean, I'll tell you, back in the day, years and years ago, when we used to make house calls, I'd go to somebody's house and they would have the statements in the envelope. It wasn't open. It would be shoved in a binder. It'd be in the junk drawer in the kitchen. I mean, you name it, I've seen it. And it's just like, okay, this is not how we organize our paperwork. But it was also that fear. It was that fear of not wanting to know and being afraid of, let me take a look at what's going on. Because here's the thing, guys, if we don't have awareness and we don't have mindfulness of what we're doing or the situation that we're in, or the situation of like, this is what's happening, we cannot improve that. You have to know what's going on. And so there's that step of having to take that leap of faith and that courage to know, okay, how much longer can I do this by being like an ostrich with your head in the sand, right? And so we have to wake up and be like, okay, enough's enough. And this is what ends up happening. A lot of people just get to the point where like, okay, I'm spending so much money, I'm losing money in fees, everything's getting out of hand, I'm falling behind, I got to get my ish together. Is basically like the tipping point of where people get sometimes. And then it's like, okay, I need help. So sometimes a lot of people want to wait, or I don't say they want to wait. They end up waiting till it gets to that point of like, okay, I can't do this anymore. Now I need to really do something about it. So what my word of encouragement is, don't allow yourself to get to that point. Be aware that, okay, if you start to see patterns of where you are missing bills, or you're doing like, oh my gosh, it's due tomorrow, or it's due this afternoon, I need to send in that payment before it's like, I'm going to get hit with a $35, charge and all this craziness. It's having the awareness that you're starting to become reactive on the daily versus being proactive. So if you start noticing those kinds of patterns, you're just not organized. And it's becoming aware. This is not about, how dare you, and, you just suck. It's not about that. It's about becoming, you may feel that way, but I'm not telling you that. It's just like, no, listen, pay attention, because when you pay attention and now you have awareness over it, that's when you can do something about it. And that's the important part, that you have grace upon yourself to recognize, okay, so I effed up. We all do. We all do. Okay.
Yes.
Anybody that pretends they did not make mistakes. No. Have some grace, and then ask yourself, okay, do I want to do something about this? And then of course the answer is yes, because you're tired of being sick and tired of the way you're handling it. And then that's the beauty of it, because you can change that and get organized and start making better decisions and then feel good. I mean, it's really that simple. It's just a matter of having consistency and discipline.
I agree. And I'll add that it is a practice. And I'm happy that you said grace. Like, have grace for yourself. This is something new, and no one's judging you. You're not a bad person because you're going through life like everybody else, and you're not the only one. Yet for some reason, right, it's just these stories we tell ourselves, and the shame, right? Touching on financial shame, that you don't want to face it, and that, nobody ever foresees them going to be at the bottom of everything. And for you to even share, thank you for sharing your story around, well, I had everything under my name. I had a divorce and I've lost everything. And yet we forget the resiliency that's built from that, and overcoming those struggles now become strengths and services and your impact, because that's what I see in you, and how passionate you are in recognizing, like, I've gone through that. And, as you guys, as Jen and I are talking, I'm speaking from my own experience when I say those things, and I'm not perfect. And so it comes and goes, and you roll with the punches, right? And we flow with it, because it's okay. Like, I text Jen today about a flyer not being, I caught a typo. I caught a typo on a flyer, and she's like, listen, I'm too old to be thinking about worrying about stuff like this. And it shows with so you're like, no big deal. And the thing is, we get stronger when we put ourselves into those situations, or we attract them and create them in our lives, so that we do learn, and so that we can share the knowledge with other people, which is what you're doing now. So what was your mindset? What was going on in your mind, Jen, at that time? And if it's not a particular moment during that divorce, that you like, yo, enough is enough. I am done. This is what I'm going to do about my current situation. In using that example, like, I had all of my assets, all of everything under my name, and now it's all gone.
Oh, it sucked. It sucked major. Like, everything. Here's the thing, guys. What's even worse for me, at least in my own world, is that I was a financial advisor. So not only was I going through this, it's like, it would almost be like a doctor who smokes and is having health problems, like a lung specialist that smokes, right? And so for me, it was like, oh my gosh, like, how the heck is this happening to me? Like, this is so crazy. I'm a financial advisor, and yet this is happening to me. It's almost like you realize you failed yourself. Like, almost you have these thoughts of like, God, how can I be so stupid? Like, if anything, I should have been more aware. But this is why I tell people, you have got to have grace upon yourself, because one of my favorite quotes by Les Brown is, you can't see the picture when you're in the frame. I'm going to say that again. You cannot see the picture when you're in the frame. So when you are going through your crap, when you are going through your personal problems, even if it's business problems, when you are under duress and you got a lot of crap going on, it isn't until the dust settles, it isn't until years may pass, that you start to realize, oh my goodness, I really was going through a lot. And you have to have that forgiveness and that grace, because it's easy to see later in hindsight. That's what we say, 50-50, or 20-20 hindsight, that kind of thing. And you're just like, oh, okay, I can't believe I didn't see it. But you when you're going through so much, it's hard. It's so hard to see clearly, because you're in the mess at that point. And so, you know, it was a combination of like beating myself up, like going through regret, asking myself, you know, what could I have done better? And finally, you know, it took years. And for anybody that's gone through a divorce, they say typically between 2 to 5 years is when like the healing process, how long it can take. And so not only was I trying to heal emotionally, but I would have to say in my particular situation, it was the money part. I mean, there were IRS issues, taxes, I mean, all kinds of stuff that it was like, and I had a horrible mediator. It wasn't even my choice, but anyways, that was a mess in itself. So there was a lot of stuff that wasn't settled properly, especially in my favor. And so I got majorly screwed. Okay. So not only am I going through this thing, and then I'm like, okay, now I got to clean this up. And it took years. It took years. So there's the emotional component, and then there's the logistics of like, okay, who do I need to call? What do I need to do? Do I need to find a tax special? I mean, it was like, so I'm telling you guys, I put this on the table because whatever it is that you're going through, there is absolutely no reason why you cannot fix it or clean it up. And one of the things I say is anything is fixable over time. I don't care if it's debt. I don't care if it's back taxes. I don't care if it's a foreclosure, bankruptcy, whatever kind of financial problem. I probably went through it myself. I'm telling you that there is hope, but there is absolutely no good and no purpose in you beating yourself up over it, because that is not going to help you get past to the next stage where you can start flourishing, where you can start feeling good about yourself. You have got to raise your level of emotion and the vibrational frequency of feeling gratitude, feeling like, you know, I'm still alive. You know, especially as we've gone through this pandemic and COVID. I mean, you know, it gets to the point sometimes you're like, oh my gosh, I woke up. Somebody died because of because of the pandemic or something like that. And then it almost is like humbles you when you realize I got to go back to the basics and realize, okay, I'm breathing. And your perspective of things is shifted because you realize I can fix this. You can fix it because you're still alive. So, you know, you will go through all those emotions. I think the biggest lessons after a while, I was realizing, you know, and it was even, you know, recent. I mean, even just a couple years back, where I'm just like, this is dumb. I have got to stop and pause and start really doing the logistics and thinking like, what do I need to do? I need to start cleaning this up. I need to carry on because, you know, as you spoke about, you know, not wanting to see something, you got to face the music, because the more that you put that and push that aside, the more time that is going by that you're wasting. And then especially depending on what kind of problem it was, interest is incurring, and that's not a good thing. So whether it's debt, IRS back taxes or whatnot, I mean, that interest is still growing. It's not like, hey, we're going to pause on everything. No. So there is the logistics side of you taking urgency to fix it and talking to the right people. Pick up the phone. I know there's that fear that I don't want to call. It's like, and I get it. I've been there. I have been there. But I'm telling you, I have seen when I'm now on the other side of things. And I'm telling you, it feels amazing. Like no debt. It's just like, you know, oh, everything's like settled. It's like, but it took having the courage to say, I'm going to do something about this. I'm going to clean this up. I'm going to fix it. And I get it. There's going to be that time where you're fearful, and that's totally natural. But at some point you have to stop and be like, okay, I'm going to put on, you know, my big girl panties and take care of business.
Yes. Big girl panties or thongs, whatever you wear.
Maybe you don't wear anything, whatever. Just take care of business. Whatever. You do you.
Jen, thank you so much for sharing that insight in your life and bringing that to light for everybody else who's going through something, not necessarily just a divorce, that it is possible. So I look forward to hearing what is on the other side. In the meantime, let's go ahead and just hear some awesome words from my sponsors today, and then we'll be right back. What's up, family? I am Anita Vita, Master Medical Qigong teacher and healer. I believe that nurses deserve to be nurtured as much as they give. As a high-performing woman myself, I coach women how to overcome chronic gut pain so that they have total freedom in their life through the practice of medical Qigong. In 2011, while working as a nurse in the post-anesthesia unit, I experienced severe burnout, and it expressed itself as IBS, or irritable bowel syndrome. Discovering this practice allowed me to eradicate this gut disease completely and naturally through meditation alone. The slow, mindful movements of medical Qigong are potent and transformational, recalibrating your cellular structure by cultivating your body's natural energy and healing source called Qi. Today, I coach and empower women to achieve the same result through private and group programs, workshops, and retreat experiences to awaken you to your truth and be the highest version of yourself. If you're still in pain, you've tried everything, and you're sick and tired going from doctor to doctor with only prescriptions and strict diets as solutions, fear no more, my friend, because you have found me. Send me a message right now at anita@nacionvita.com and we'll get you to rise out of that pain, guaranteed. Hi, everybody. We are back. Thank you for that, my team. Oh, my goodness. So I'm in tears because it's my first time seeing it. So you all who are watching this and just being a part of this is it means so much to me. And, you know, I was up late last night doing 7 takes on the audio. So to see it, I'm so grateful and thankful for the work that I do and how it is so needed. And that thank you for my amazing team who put it together. I was just like, could not hold back tears. And this is how we flow, y'all. You know, I love to cry, and I'm just real when I come here, and I'm just so grateful and thankful. So now that we are taking that moment and that we are back, I wanted to, you know, just Jen, you know, you said you were going to share a little bit now. So from where you were back then and in that turmoil and heartache and just at the lowest points of your life, where has that taken you now and what you're doing and how you're serving?
You know, one of the things that I've been talking about extensively is, you know, I get it. This whole pandemic has been tough on so many people, millions, on so many different levels. And yet when this first started in spring of 2020, one of the things that I had to ask myself was, okay, because at that time, because of the financial meltdown and everything that was happening, I was doing like 2 to 3 podcasts a week. It was crazy. It was like, okay, how can we talk about this? And it was just like, it was chaotic. Nobody knew what was happening, right? And so we were seeing these themes of doom and gloom, you know, the sky is falling, that kind of thing. And I had to really quiet my mind and ask myself, okay, nobody knows when this is going to end. I mean, hell, we're still in it to an extent, right? And even at that time, do you remember when Trump was saying like, oh, by Easter, this should be done? Yeah, we're not going there. But I mean, just as reference to think like, goodness, really? And I remember telling myself, okay, the world is saying this. What am I going to choose to do? And so I said, I'm going to choose to be a victor and not a victim. I don't know how this is going to end. I don't know when it's going to end, but no matter what's going to happen, I have the ability and the power to choose that I'm going to come out of this stronger and better and in a different place. And so that's how a lot of stuff was developing. And so even as recent as last year, one of the biggest things I will say that was so beneficial for me, and this has a lot to do with your money. It might not sound like it, but I'm telling you, it has a lot to do with your money because it's about like, you know, energy and whatnot. I had to take a look at, are there things in my life that aren't serving me? And that could be physical things, that could be in your environment. Look around your space. Like, is there a lot of crap laying around? All that stuff needs to be money, and all that stuff took time for you to work and pay for that. And it's just laying around. You know, I look at the perspective of that costs X amount of dollars, you know, and also taking a look at, are there certain people that you need to let go of? And so the point that I'm trying to make is, and this is just a simple thing that you can do, but huge, huge impact on how you can move forward, is you have to ask yourself, and I'm sure you already are asking yourself, like, why isn't stuff happening for me? Why does it seem like everything's happening for everybody else? And why? And right? We all ask ourselves those questions. And what I had discovered, and I went through this myself, was I realized I can't expect the universe, the, God, whoever, higher source, whatever you call it for you. You can't expect things that you want to come into your life if you don't have the space and the capacity for it. And so the thing that you need to ask yourself is, are you even creating the space for that to come in? But if you are preoccupied with a bunch of crap all around you, whether you are hanging on to a bad relationship, it could be friends, it could be romantic, it could be your partner, whatever. Is it something that you're hanging on to? Is it something that you need to fix? Is it something that you need to release? Like, you got to ask yourself all these different questions, and they're tough questions because it's hard for many people to change. I actually love change because I'm a freaking weirdo, but for many people, we don't like change. And so that's a very tough, grown up thing that you have to go through and ask yourself, do I need to release things? Because what happens is, if you don't, how do you expect the things that you want to come into your life if you don't have the space and the capacity for it? So you want more money, you want a better opportunity, you want to have collaborations, or you want a better job. How can you expect those things to come in if you're hanging on to things and those things are occupying that space in your life? And so last year I had to purge a bunch of stuff, physically and emotionally. And this is like, like we always talk about, do the inner work, right? I had to ask myself, okay, this person, and I'm not saying like, be mean and you have a strong cutoff game and all that, but it's just like, part with forgiveness and learn to love from afar, whatever you need to do. But it's just, I had to do that. And I'm telling you guys, when I did that, it was almost as if the most perfect collaborations came in. I mean, I found my partner and that show started, and that's been a year now. I teamed up with an amazing startup. I mean, trailblazing stuff in the financial industry. And it's just like, I found the love of my life. It was just all kinds of stuff. And he's like, I look back now and it's been about a year. And I'm just like, yeah, I have to attribute, that was one of the biggest key things that I did. You have got to let go of that crap. You have got to let go of that person, that stuff, whatever. If it is not bringing you joy, and now I sound like Marie Kondo. If it's not bringing you joy, why are you hanging on to it? Yeah. And I've been there because I was in this horrible relationship with my son's father. He ain't on social media, so I can talk about it, that he knows. So it's like, I realized, like, because I hadn't let go of that, it was blocked. It creates this energetic block. It really does. It's like this energetic block that's like, you want to hang on to that? Okay. So you're telling your environment, your energy, the universe, God, whatever, you're saying like, you know what, I'm good here. You don't want that. But because you don't want to let it go, what you're in actuality saying is like, no, I'm going to stay here because this is how I see myself. This is good enough for me. I may be saying I want more. I may be saying I want better, but my actions are not showing that. So you're not going to get what you really want. And it was tough. I had to, have a really, be real with myself and go like, okay, well, I've been asking for things to change for so many years, especially since 2009 when that divorce happened. And that's when the light bulb went on. I realized, you know what? I have to let things go. And it's not easy. It's not easy, especially when you're used to a certain way of things happening. And it takes bravery. It takes courage. It takes a lot of faith, and it takes a lot of praying, a lot of meditating, all that stuff. Yeah. But it is not impossible. But I'm telling you, when you can come to that place, when you're ready to do that kind of work, when you're ready to let go, it's amazing. It's like a miracle. I'm telling you, like, you hear it, like, Anita, you see those other coaches that's like, oh, it should flow. It shouldn't be hard. And the rest of us are kind of looking at everybody like, what are you talking about? This is just hard. Yeah. I know what they're talking about now. And it's almost like, it's like magic now. And it's like, okay, I freaking finally get it. I can get it. I see what they're talking about. And it's almost like I want to tell everybody, this is all you got to do. Like at the bare minimum, let go. Let go. Anita's theme is flow. You've got to flow. You think about a river. You want to flow with where you were trying to go. Go with the current. Why are you allowing yourself to keep going against that current? You don't even want to go there anymore. So why do you keep doing it? You have to ask yourself.
Yeah.
Some of you are staying in a cycle that is not serving you, staying in a cycle that's keeping you pissed off, unhappy, broke, all those things. And you keep wanting to go against the current. You need salmon trying to swim up creek. Why are you doing it? I mean, I had to have this conversation with myself. And so Anita's theme was flow. We had a brief conversation and she, flow. I'm like, exactly. When you can get into alignment and congruency with that whole thing, I'm telling you, the things that you want, the collaborations you want, opportunities you want, speaking engagements, you want to write a book, all those things you have dreams about. I'm telling you, it is almost like, whoa, they start to appear because you are showing that you are ready. You're showing that you're ready to receive that because you made the space for it. Yeah.
Yes. Oh my goodness. The space. So I like that you said to make space to allow for things to come in, right? You can't just pile it on. And here's the thing, and this struck me when you said this, like, why do you keep swimming against the current? Yeah. And I want to add to that, maybe because you really want to.
It could be.
Maybe you really want to, like, in terms of, like, and that's like this interesting pattern I'm seeing, like, why do people want to stay in their suffering? Right. And it has something to do a lot with what you said. Like, people don't really like change. You're comfortable one particular way. So recognize that through change, you're still going to be, you're not going to be that person anymore. Are you okay with that? So oftentimes it's that part of your ego. If you guys start to hear the language around ego death, or I feel like I'm dying, because it literally feels like that, because a part of you is dying.
Yeah.
Right. So starting off with as simple as, I'm glad that you said that's something so tangible. Look at your space. How are you living? If you envision yourself a different way and you create your space from the outside first and what you can let go of and surrender to, then magically, I understand. I'm familiar with what Jen's talking about. Like, magically things just like click. The alignments start to come. And as a person, as a healer and a teacher who teaches about energy, everything's energy, including money, right? Mm-hmm. Money doesn't even have real value, but this is not the episode for that.
Another episode.
Yeah, that's a whole other session, or even mini series with Jen. You can ask her questions around that. Then it doesn't circulate and it doesn't flow. Therefore, you stay stagnant.
Yes.
And like in a river, right? What happens when river and water is not rushing and not moving and flowing as it needs to?
Algae, and it turns green.
Yep.
I had a pool that I didn't care.
It's gross.
Like the Hulk. Yes.
So it's super gross. So I'm thankful that you share, Jen, like what it really is, like really face those parts of yourself that if you truly want desire and change, that it's possible. You just have to decide. And I like that you said, and you mentioned in the beginning of your talk, like, I chose this. I'm choosing this. I see this and I'm choosing this. And I can do something about it. I am resourceful. I'm going to find the coach. I'm going to find, I'm going to reach out to people. And I'm going to find a way to get myself out of this mess. And oftentimes we won't take ourselves there until like our back's against the wall. Like, okay, I have nothing left. I'm done fighting. I literally can't swim up the river because I'm just drowning now. And so, I appreciate that you shared your journey from where you were to where and what it takes. And that, I hope you guys are taking notes. You can watch this episode as it replays again and really listen to Jen's words and what she's saying, because it is possible. Now that we're entering into the fall season, what do you want your life to look like as we transition and complete like 2021? And a lot of you are probably like, oh my gosh, wasn't even thinking about that. It's almost like end of the year and going into 2022, but it happens so quickly. So make sure you get with Jen. And before I share with her what all her offerings are and how to connect with her, we're going to listen to, and feature our last sponsor for this episode. And then we will be right back.
𝙈𝙖𝙩𝙀 Management is a company dedicated to empowering individuals and businesses in entertainment, special events, talent management, content creation, digital and traditional marketing, and public relations, in working together to turn their dreams into reality. Get one step closer to elevating yourself and your business by contacting hello@𝙈𝙀management.com. Let us empower you.
Now let's get back to the show. All right, sis. So how do people get in touch with you? What do you have going on? And how can we support you?
Absolutely. So if you'd like to reach me, if you have any questions, I love talking about this stuff. And as you can, I hope you can tell, like I keep it real. Like I am not gonna get up here and pretend like, oh yeah, everything's been perfect, because hell no, it hasn't. So if you want to get in touch with me, you can just go to my handle at Jen Money Coach on Facebook or Instagram and just DM me. That's probably the easiest way to get a hold of me, and just let me know that you saw me on Anita's show. And I'm like, oh yes, I remember. So that's an easy way to get a hold of me. And so, one of the things I would just say, like, it's asking yourself if you want things to change. And I love that Anita mentioned that, the holidays are coming up, and there's a crazy thing, sis. Like I think it was last month, I went to Dollar Tree. I'm like, what the frick? Halloween stuff is up already. I was just like, before you know it, like next week, if I go, it's probably gonna be Christmas already. And that's how fast things move. And if you don't move and you don't want to change, another year is gonna go by. 2021 is almost done. And you have to get real with yourself and ask yourself, do you want the next year, 2022, to repeat itself? Or are you going to stay in excuses? So if you're ready to change, or you're sick and tired and you want things to get better, you have to just be real with yourself and say, you know what, I'm ready. I'm ready to take a look at this. I'm ready to change my situation, because I deserve better. And that's the thing. You have to also believe that you deserve better. So that's what I will say, because I love that you mentioned about, some people are like, gosh, it's only September. No, I'm telling you, this quarter is going to go by so fast. Yep. I'm telling you, 2 weeks from now, it's going to be Valentine's stuff in the stores. So do not be fooled and think that I got time, because here's the thing, when it comes to New Year's resolutions and whatnot, it's like, you don't want to be that person. It's freaking March and you still haven't figured out what you want to do. Then you're going to wait to the next year. And it happens to all of us every single year. And so think about that. I want that to sit with you, and you got to ask yourself, are you finally ready to change your situation and really know what it feels like to be in joy and in gratitude and to feel good? I mean, there is absolutely no reason why you can't. So like we spoke about this evening, it's really about you having that courage to learn how to let go and to understand where you're coming from, where all these decisions are coming from, and then what can you do to fix it.
Thank you, sis, for sharing that. You're welcome. Will add, if y'all want to know more, and have she has on her show called the Life, Love, and Money show. She's the host with Summer. And her hosts, y'all, they are a riot. Let me tell you, they're so amazing. They will answer all of your questions. So if you're not sure, kind of like, what path to take around finances, they talk about everything and how it's like relating in your daily life. So check them out. They just celebrated like their 50. How many episodes now, sis? 50?
52 now. Yeah.
52?
September 10 was our 1 year. And so, we literally just did this in the pandemic. Oh, here's the funny thing too. We have never met in real life.
Where is she?
She's in DC. She's in
Nice.
Washington, D.C., and I'm over here, and we're in Southern California, LA. So that's the magic of being able to do these things, right?
Absolutely, sis. So check out her show. Check out her. Connect with Jen. And sis, thank you so much for being here. I'm so grateful, and I appreciate you. And I look forward to bringing you back on the show, as well as doing collaborations with you. I appreciate you so much.
Absolutely. Thank you so much, and thank you to everybody that joined us this evening.
Thank you so much. All right, everybody. I hope you got some amazing gems and wisdom from Jen. She dropped some awesome advice. Please take a look at all of her, check her out at Jen Money Coach. And, remember, you always have the power to choose. I think oftentimes we forget that we have choice, and that I hope tonight you are reminded of that. As always, you guys, I will see you next week, and I root for your rise. Have a good night, everybody.
Anita Vita rise, yeah. Anita Vita rise, yeah. Anita Vita rise.